Hello guys, my name is Anirudh and today we are learning about slope intercept and standard form and point slope. Right here I have the equation y equals 2x plus 3. Can you guess it? If you guessed slope intercept, you're right. As you can see, slope intercept is, let me change colors quickly, y equals mx plus b. As b is the y-intercept, b is the y-intercept, and m is the slope. So m is the slope. And slope also defines rise over run. Rise over run. You could see that in this figure it is rising up and the amount of running it is doing. How I like to think of it is a bird. It rises up and goes to the horizontal way too. So since we have y equals 2x plus 3, I've plotted it in a graph, coordinate by coordinate, and you can see that the coordinates are, the first coordinate is 0, 3. As you can see, because it was a 3 rise, because the y-intercept decides how much it should rise, and it goes on and on like that. That's why before I even graphed this, I knew that the first coordinate is going to be 0, 3, because as you can see, which I pointed out before, the y equals 2x plus 3. The y-intercept is always how high it goes, how high the line goes, or in here how low it goes. I first started out with this point since it'll be easier to use than the bottom points. I forgot to put those lines. Now I'm going to teach you about standard form, because now we know how slope intercept works. As you can see, slope intercept is really easy if you know how to graph the line on the coordinate grid. And remember, slope intercept's formula is y equals mx plus b. Don't forget it. And slope, if they ask you to graph it, is always rise over the run. And let us start standard form. And now let us start standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equal to c. This is the second most common formula you will use. The first most common formula is slope intercept, because slope intercept is the most common one to graph it and the easiest one you'll learn. Ax plus by, as I told before, is standard form. And if you thought before, you could see that I can make this formula exactly into slope intercept. Y equals mx plus b. I can use it exactly. Now let me use red. Yes. I can use this formula exactly to use as ax plus by equal to c. Okay, so now let me show you how I can. So first, I'm going to move these ax to this side, to the part where c is, because as you can see it is y equals mx plus b. The only difference which I'll have is a, which I can always change into m. It's just a variable. So I'm gonna change it into plus c. I'll show you how. First, let me keep the terms in one side. So by equal to c minus, I'll always switch these two apart, minus ax. And then I'll do by equal to negative ax plus c. Y equal to, as you can see that I'm getting to the y part, y equal to negative ax plus c divided by b. As you can see now, if we had variables for a, for example, let's substitute a as 3, and let's substitute b as 4. C doesn't really matter, but I'll just put 1. So this is c as 1, let's say. Since c is 1, we can Now, conclude that it'd be y equal to, let me just substitute all my variables in, negative 3x plus, let me quickly do, okay, 3x plus 1 by, no, yeah, by, and we want to do, since we substitute b as 4, by 4. And now we can conclude that y equals to negative 3 by 4x plus 1 by 4. So we know that the slope of this line is negative 3 by 4. So that is how to change this formula, what we had before, ax plus by equal to c, into a slope-intercept formula, y equals to negative 3 by 4 x plus 1 by 4. If in any tests or anything they give you they give you standard form and want you to change it to slope-intercept, this is the process you have to go to. Basically, algebra. You have to go through the algebra steps and substitute values for it, and you'll get what the slope is. So now we'll be going into point slope. Point slope is really great for finding the b part in slope intercept. It is very good in finding it because if in any test they ask you to find the y-intercept, I would prefer using slope intercept than the standard form, because slope intercept is really easy. I'm gonna show you how to use slope intercept right now. Here is what I'm going to write is point slope. Prepare. y2 minus y1 equals m of x2 minus x1. As you can see, m is the slope. If you remembered from what I did before, if you remember what I did before, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. So you can see that the m in the old equation was, not in the old equation, but in the previous equation, was the slope. Same way, m in this equation is the slope. If you look at it for a couple of minutes, you'll know that you can use distributive property. M can go to the x2 and m can go to the x1. Usually in this formula, there's only one value for x and y. I'm going to give the coordinates. So I'm going to give the coordinates 8 and 2. So let me just take, okay, so I'm going to give the comma 8 and 2. 8, comma 2. That is the coordinates. It doesn't really matter which if you substitute the 8, because you know 8 is the x, comma y is how coordinate graphs work, right? So 8 is the x and y is the 2. It doesn't really matter where you substitute the value for x in which one of these is in. You could substitute 8 in x2, or you could substitute 8 in x1. Or you could substitute y in y2 or y1. I would prefer you substitute in x1 and y2 because it is really easy if you substitute like that. But it doesn't really matter. So you could do that. So I'm going to substitute it in y1. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 in here is 2. I'm going to write that in a different color. 2 of, just take this out, of, and let's give m a value. M is equal to, let's keep it 3. M is equal to 3, okay? Remember that. So, and then equal to 3 of x2 minus x1 is, I'm going to substitute it as 8 because that's the coordinates I gave it. This is always how point slope will be. Because this is how point slope will be. Because in the old equation, you can always substitute the coordinates into here to find the y-intercept. Because after this, you're going to get the same exact equation as this. So let us start. So this would be, I'm going to leave the first one here. y2 minus 2 equals, now this is distributive property, 3 times the x and 3 times the negative 8. Don't forget the negative 8. It is very important to keep the negative or your whole answer will be wrong. Trust me, I've done a lot of this, and I've always or mostly missed the negative. So let's do 3x and then do minus 24. That is the distributive property of which I just showed there. Now we're going to move this to, let's put blue, this negative 2, don't forget the negative, to this side, to the negative 24. So I'm going to do negative 24 plus 2, basically. So then that would be y. I'm just going to erase that y2 since it doesn't really matter, because we already have a value for y. It's only important in the equation so you don't think y is the same value. Y equals 3x minus 22, since negative 24 plus 2 is negative 22. So there you have it. Look, we've got to the same equation as we had in the beginning, except I just substituted values for 3 and b, or the y-intercept. It is the same exact thing, except for the negative, because in this equation it came in negative 24, negative 22 I mean. So like I said before, it'll come to the same thing. Now you know all 3 types: slope-intercept, standard form, and point slope. And now we are going to review them one more time. Just to review, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. Point slope is y2 minus y1 equal to m of x2 minus x1. Remember that. And a standard form is, I forgot to put the parentheses. And standard form is ax plus by equal to c. Bye guys, and I hope you learned a lot from this video. I did, and hope you had a great time. Bye.